listening to A Creative Excuse, presented by Echo Amano. I'm Frank Rose.
And I'm Cara Duvall. This episode is with Daniel McCoy, returning for his second episode after nearly 6 years.
If you want to learn more about Daniel's background, go listen to that first episode, as in this one we go more into recent history.
Daniel's show is up at Echo Amano right now and on view through September 1st.
Thanks for listening. Well, here we are.
Here, hello.
Hello.
So both Cara and I listened to the episode from 6 years ago.
We listen to you.
So what did I talk about?
We went a lot into background, into
Yes.
where you got the start and family, and we talked about Bob, we talked about Mary Adair, we talked about boarding school, we talked about, what else did we talk about? Yep. So we went through the background.
Talked about how pop culture was going into native work. You weren't sure if it was it was past. Your talked about your resistance to landscape, doing landscape.
So that was right at the beginning of all that.
Yeah.
That was like the first few months. Okay, very good.
So you were about to open the Alcove show at the New Mexico Museum.
Yes.
And this was before we had done anything.
Right.
Like even before the one print in the Regalos show.
Right. You were about to have the holiday show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we have a whole history now.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
It is.
The gallery had only been open for 6 months.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild. And here we are like almost 6 years later.
So that's when I was working for Tony or Billy. Probably both at the same time. Okay.
Yeah. And it's so interesting to kind of listen to that and kind of, hear those sort of initial things and to feel like the kind of foundation now and how we've gone through some stuff. And so, you've been doing this landscape work since that time. Where are you at with it? What's, you've been working on it, you've been developing it, you found ways through it. Give us a status update, Danny.
Well, I believe that the color mixing, the color process, the palette behind the landscapes has matured into a very nice formula. I think not to where beforehand each painting was its individual creation and I never replicated anything. Now it's opened up a door where I have multiple requests for a certain color combination. I've never had that. That's something that's new to me in the last few years. And so you can go, well, I can let go of some of my old rules that I used to have that I was very strict on. Don't ever repeat yourself. But then when you're working in a marketing situation where your paintings need to go out the door, you listen to what the client wants more, the collector wants, and it becomes more of a team effort. And so I've kind of pulled from my commercial art background to be versatile and go, all right, well, it's okay that I could use this color combination in several pieces. It doesn't have to be the same thing. And I'm confident now that I can change things up and it'll still just be as successful as the first piece of the series. So that's a new experience for me. So I'm very happy about that because we have several different styles to choose from now. And then the fact that it's accessible past the Southwest, these paintings are reaching collectors on the coast. I'm getting questions from folks I've never known before or a town I've never traveled to, and they're willing to share their experience, how they feel about the art in their home. So yeah, with all that growing up and maturity over the years, I feel very comfortable about that. But I think in my early days, that would have been something I would think I would have had a challenge to accept that.
Right. Right.
I was just thinking that. I was like, what would early Daniel say?
Early punk rock Danny wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I have my ideas, and I would have been able to make that sacrifice and just have a landscape and paint nature and then really enjoy and believe in the beauty of nature and just let that be and try my best to replicate it with my technical ability and leave it at that. I wouldn't have been able to accept that. So now there's a lot more freedom. There's play in everything. I don't feel boxed in. I feel one of my past employers used to say, "Don't worry, Danny, in the studio we can fix anything. We can create anything. The possibilities are endless." I used to never fully understand that. I used to be like, well, yeah, they are, and no, I'm kind of more in that vein now. I feel, hey, we can go any size, any question, any setting. Sometimes collectors ask if I can do a specific area, and I'm totally down to do it. It's just maybe we don't get past the yard sometimes.
Do you think there's a line at which it becomes too repetitive, or like I was having a conversation with Kat about that recently, where she got a commission request based on an existing painting, and from her point of view, she was like, "I'm comfortable doing this one. We made a few little changes. It was pretty similar to the other painting, but there comes a point where she was like, I think at a certain point I may not want to do that anymore, but for right now it felt okay." Do you feel like that there's a line at which, you're like, I don't know if that, I don't like, where is that? I guess what I'm saying is it sounds like there's a gradient, right? And that has shifted over time for you.
I'm happy that there's success.
Yeah.
After being hungry for so many years and so many ups and downs, I'm happy that there's people ready to receive these pieces, but I do cut them off at 10. Unless I'm really enjoying the process, because I always change up something, or I'll have a little word, or maybe there's a special little animal in a bush, something that you really have to live with the piece and look at it closely to see. And so that's where I'll hide my signature in a rock, or just something to make it a bit different. And don't ever, just I think there's also a big sense of thankfulness and gratitude I have just being able to paint. I've been able to paint since I was 17 years old and make some sort of living at it, or be involved in the local art scene, wherever that was. And I think this is just like full circle in a way, almost. And so that's I don't really get too hung up on that. As a younger artist, I definitely would have. I remember one time I had to paint 10 Burger King cheeseburger billboards. And even though to paint a giant cheeseburger is really awesome, to do 10 of them is not very cool. And then you start playing with the sesame seeds, making them say obscenities or something, or making faces in the burger. Ha ha ha, they'll never see it from the road. That's kind of the more younger Danny. I would have been doing things like that. But no, with these paintings, it's my own. I don't even know where it comes from sometimes. So I just have to be thankful that the gallery can say, hey, can you do one at this dimension? Sure. Hey, that worked out good. And then you see that, way I'm tapping into something else.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased about that. That
That's
was
great.
never something that came easy.
Right.
Yes.
I think it's so interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you feel a lot of freedom
Yes.
in this, and that you find that you're finding freedom in something, again, that your younger self would have scoffed at and said quite the opposite. Like, that's not freedom. Having this not even a formula, but kind of taking what has already existed and tweaking it slightly, and not, going off and exploring completely new things, but actually in that, and like the devotion to just continuing to do the practice.
Right.
There's a freedom that you're experiencing. I think that's really wonderful.
Well, I have a certain number that if I don't reach by the end of the year, that I'm just not producing. We worked with a sculptor years ago, and he set me aside. His name was Presley LaFountain, and he's like, Dan, if you're not doing more than 25, then you're not doing it. And so that made me real mad. And so I went back, and ever since then, that's been over 25 years ago, I have strived to produce as much as I can every year. And some things are going to work, some things are not. Even like the ideas I really love and believe in, sometimes they're just not for an audience. They're maybe for a more museum-based show. Maybe it's just for a specific client. Maybe it's just so I can see that it gets out. And I don't ever feel like I can't take it here to the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
You're always like, well, let's try it out.
Mm-hmm.
And we go, maybe that didn't go so well. Or maybe, hey, that's a surprise that did.
Mm-hmm.
There's still enough room for experimentation here. Like, say next year, if I said, Frank, I really love this pickle idea I have. I got to do a show on pickles. And
if we're doing a show on pickles, we got to go hard. Like, it's got to go over the top pickle madness.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Just putting that out there.
All right. Okay. So, but I know that I've got a crew that we might, let's do the pickle show.
Yeah.
And then after, I know that we can rally the troops, and no matter how wild the idea is, somehow make it fun and work, And we're not going to do a pickle show. I'm just teasing.
What?
Maybe the window installation.
Maybe a window installation. Maybe, yeah. Even though.
See, now you're thinking about it now.
Start thinking about logos and things. So, but no, the landscapes have opened up a whole new door, and I think we have at least about 50 different styles. There's probably been about 150 made. There's about 50 different styles, and then there's about another 20 I haven't even produced yet. Color combinations. Being an instructor at IA teaching 2D fundamentals gave me all these different ideas, being inspired by students and just the plain color wheel and colorist artist. And so that's kind of a phase right now. I think there's a lot of colorists out there. They've kind of pushed the technical side and the complexities back and just let different hue and combinations kind of work for them. I'm definitely in that. For me, the influence came from Jeff Com, however it's pronounced. And I know that there's other artists that are on our roster here, like Tara, and I know that had a lot of influence with him as well. It's just kind of osmosis in a way, where we're all having this kind of a conversation, and we're exchanging narratives and ideas, but not really having to say anything to each other. It's just kind of like, okay, that's giving a nod,
Mm-hmm.
Heidi Brandau's another artist I think of. And then you start connecting the dots, and you see that it kind of leads to our instructors back there.
Mm.
And it's funny how that wave works in native arts. And even though I feel like I'm in the left field a bit, I'm kind of out of that a bit, but then I'm never ever going to be completely out of it, because historically of my education background and just kind of where it came from. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be a connection.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the painting that's behind you, right? Like
Yes.
that one, when you were talking about, finding the right place or home for, so that one was made around the time when we did our first podcast, and that one maybe was in the museum show.
Yeah.
And it's finally being placed next month at the hospital at UNM,
That's so neat.
So it's like, it took a while, but it found its home.
Mm.
So, Where Trouble Came From is the title of that piece. It's basically from right across the street from where I first moved, which was the College of Santa Fe and IAIA campus. But that's the second painting. And those were, I had all this leftover color. And I wasn't really painting acrylics at the time. I was trying to paint more oils. And I had to do a bunch of stage work for Bioneers Corporation and do a lot of stage art. I think that year were insects and pollinators. So we had these big, no? Yes, that is right, because we had these big, bright butterflies and everything. So I had these 2 large canvases I had built, and I just sporadically started putting paint on. An employer of mine collects Charles Laloma jewelry, and I'd seen the stone patterns and how they were set up, and it looked like a landscape. And so I thought, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to the studio tonight and do that. And it just really just kind of came out of an idea. And then I can't ever leave a background alone. I have to do crazy line work on it and ruin it. I can come up with a really great abstract, colorful background that looks like something. I have to ruin it with the line work. But that's part of it. I've tried to let it just be the background, and it's just not strong enough yet. I hope to make it to a point where it is strong enough and stand on its own. I would love to move it into just a colorist mode where you can kind of maybe see some of the squiggly lines I do, because I've been doing those since the very beginning. Okay, that's that. Where I'm able to, especially with the enamels and oils, get the colors where they're almost vibrating and kind of, whoa, is that my glasses? Or, it really plays a trick on, and then my wife and I discuss it over and over. It's obsessive how much we discuss it. And she's my Caesar. It's either thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't always listen to her, but it's usually that's where the ideas come from. We discuss all the emotions behind it that I usually don't let anybody know, or only just a little tad bit. But with this piece, it's the second one. I'm so glad that that's going to somewhere in New Mexico, because that goes back to me being a teenager. And
a lot of people are going to see it.
Yeah,
like it's going into a gallery at a hospital. Like tons of people are going to see that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So my 17-year-old self thought, I'll go to school here for a couple of years. I'll go back to Oklahoma and work instruction. And I never thought it would go any farther than that. And many years later, we're still here and we're still talking about art. I'm still learning about art. And now there's just not enough time in the day. And I'm surrounded by it.
Yeah.
Every phone call, everything I do at work, and it's all just new art. And it's just not one type. It's all kinds of ceramics, learning about Pueblo pottery, learning about painters I never knew about. And it's just, it's still a hunger for knowledge still, and just appreciating who had the bravery to put this in, to take it out of their mind, come out of their fingertips, or whatever their method is, and there it is. It could be in dance form, it can be in music, and that's what I mean. After a while, everything turns into one, and that's what's amazing to me. And then I try to talk to my friends back home, and they don't know what I'm talking about. But here I have a family that does understand the language. And I have a group of friends that number in the hundreds, almost in the thousands maybe. And I can talk art and discipline with them. And they're just as enthusiastic about that I am, that I was as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that, like, I know for myself, like, sometimes I take it for granted, because it is the air that I breathe, that it's where I work, I'm always surrounded by it. I've made it my priority, to have my work life be surrounded by art, and there are those times when, like, I kind of like shake my head. It's like, oh wow, like this is like really wonderful. What a
Yes.
privilege to be able to be surrounded by this.
And you have to remind yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can get so desensitized that maybe it flips on you. And the only way I'm reminded is if I travel to an area or I have to live in a place where there's no arts whatsoever and nobody understands what you're talking about. And maybe you don't understand about the football game that was on Monday night. And maybe, and you realize, wow, I'm from a completely different culture. How did this happen? So, I am reminded how grateful to be. I'm reminded every day.
Yeah.
So
That's cool. I mean, I think, and especially like, working with Topaz and talking about all those ideas and having somebody to bounce stuff off of, especially as a studio artist, when things can get sort of tunnel vision sometimes, to have somebody to bounce off of is really valuable.
for me, I'll be like, oh my God, they want a 2 foot by 4 foot painting, and she'll be like, don't sweat, we'll get it built. I think you have that in the shop right now. And so sometimes she comes in and helps in, and she's a lot better carpenter than I could ever be due to my eyesight and my patience as well. And so she can build, like, we get together, like, she'll build the frame, I stretch the canvas. She builds one for her, I stretch her canvas, and so it's a teamwork effort. And I'm starting to find, other artists, other couples in the art world that have that system. And I think that's a thing of, a sign of maturity, growth, and just continuing on in the practice where it stops being about the singular. And in my case, it's about having the kids involved too now. So we got 5 or 6 members now. And so my goal is to take it, either we have a porch band or we have maybe a porch booth or a family show one of these days. So a lot of the ideas, especially for the drawings, come from Sunday night sketch sessions with the family. The kids, Topaz and I, we all sit at the table and kind of joke on each other, watch a movie, and come up with ideas. So some of the drawings that are in this month's show are from the kitchen table.
Yeah, and I'm remembering some quick draws with
Yeah.
your kids
Yes.
putting up artwork. Yeah. And them fetching a nice price for their work too.
Well, yeah, once they found out they could make money, then they got really dedicated. And that's what got me into it, like we'd send work out to student art shows at Sequoia Boarding School. And I think my first one was for $35. And I got $35. $35 in 1989 was a lot of money. You could get a burrito at the rec hall and a pop, and you survived the week, and maybe even loaned a friend $5 or something. So, a little bit of financial encouragement, I think, helps. I think it also helps develop a work ethic, and so I'm hoping, with that. But none of our art is alike, so I can't really put them to work yet.
Yeah.
I've tried already. Okay, well, I got to sand that down.
It's good. It's really, it's a beautiful thing to be creative with your family.
Right.
It is huge. We gather once a week with our folks, and we have surrealist poetry that we do, where my mom has cut up over 10,000 words or phrases out of magazines, and you just reach into the box and you pull out 8, and then you make a poem. We go around.
Wow.
We speak that poem. Then we snap our fingers for each other, and it's wonderful.
I'll come over and play bass.
Yeah.
You got to stand up.
I'll wear the beret. I don't smoke, but I'll have a cigarette.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great.
That's super fun.
And see, that's where I'm realizing, because My dad was a very talented artist, but he didn't want you around. He's like, hey, get away from me. I'm pinstriping. And so it's kind of like a place you never went into. I'm realizing that I could be that way too when stress is heavy. I've learned to let it go and be welcoming to everyone. And I have to remind myself of that. And it's not a singular thing to involve the whole family. And then later on, you'll hear like other stories. Like, for instance, there's a Dan Naminga painting that's gigantic in the IA collections. My best friend Brian goes, hey, I remember when he was painting that in his kitchen, and it would have been in the 70s. And so art has that for some folks. I know it's not for everyone, but that's kind of also, it ties into the collector mania, repetitive imagery. That's why I was always good as a registrar. Maybe I couldn't remember the artist's names as good, but I could remember the images. And it's just having that mindset. And there's a deeper connection that it ties to, and I don't know what that is or how to explain that in the collective memory. Like these pieces here I'm looking at that are on the wall, I'm going to think about that dinosaur all night. That's that T-Rex. That's a Northwest Coast T-Rex. What's going on there? My wife is from up there. And I'm going to draw it and talk about it. And she's going like, wow, that would be a really great totem pole to put on where I'm from, Lummi or Mawala or wherever, And so it's just that I don't know what that's about, that talking about imagery or talking about or realizing or discovering the ground that it's been broken by other artists and that communication that they're trying to send out. And I am definitely one of those people that have my ears open, eyes open for as much as I can to receive that and be inspired by that and then put it into my work and hopefully it turns into some other form.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a strong connection, right, between our curiosity and what we remember, our memory and then how we're formed and what we then create as well.
I don't know what's stronger, sound or vision based, or is it touch? I don't know what's stronger, but they all have their own individual unique power.
Well, it was interesting earlier on. You said you look for when the colors vibrate.
Yes.
And that was a question I had is like, how do you know? How do you know when we've gotten the right color combination? And then thinking about vibration is sound, right?
Right.
And so there's some kind of connection there.
So I used to hate doing the color wheel assignments, but I was really poor in class. My attendance was bad, so I had to do 3 of them. And so you painted every color in the spectrum, and that was kind of a routine. I'm glad I did that now because it taught me how to tweak the colors a little bit, and like you have a bright orange and a bright blue. You put that into landscape, and it just naturally has. That's why I think the scenery is so popular here. It's complementary colors to begin with. You don't really have that so much in the remainder of the country. I guess in some areas for sure, but like out here, it's very unique. The pinks into the blues, and I almost get so hypnotized by it on the way home, I'll almost drive off the road. And that's kind of how these started. You're like, whoa, and that's what happens. You get astounded by the beauty of nature, and even though you've already seen it before, you've been here your whole life. You know what the sun does. You know what the clouds do. But I think there's just some point where if you've it just the amazement of the world we live in maybe hits you, and I don't know if that's something that keeps on going. I don't know if that's just something that happens at a certain age, but it sure has struck me in the last 5-6 years.
I think that's part of being an artist is you're constantly training yourself to be aware of beauty. when beauty arises,
Right.
and to seek it out. And so your eyes are different. Your eyes see differently than other people's eyes.
Well, I don't mean to continue to keep going back to this painting where trouble began. That's we're talking about here. But one was the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, which I basically ran down the Pewaukee Trail and started it. And the other one, I thought, well, let's do architecture because I really love Santa Fe architecture. It's where organic shape kind of clashes with square measurement and that kind of. So I've always kind of enjoyed that with Santa Fe. You got a half and half going on. And so I just thought, what's going to work best? Well, they both kind of work good if you combine it. And at that point, I was still asking questions. So I'm just so pleased that this painting's been received well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stories and emotions in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. One of the things that I've been talking to a lot of people about is feeling like I've found a really nice floor and foundation. Having, been open for, about 6 years,
Yes.
and it kind of sounds like maybe you're in a similar spot.
Yes.
That you're finding a nice floor, a nice sort of spot to kind of like, and I think the exciting part about that for me is like what opens up when some of the bandwidth that was like reserved for like a little bit of struggle gets, released. You know what I mean?
Well, I thought I was using that bandwidth up.
Yeah.
I thought my batteries were finally going dead and maybe it's time to go back to Oklahoma and get that construction job or sell watermelons at the intersection. But no, for me, it's finding the foundation here, rubbing elbows with the right artist in the community that maybe you've looked up to and you had it all wrong about them and they saw something in you that they wanted to share. And then also the main reason is my family and I moving outside of town. I never wanted to go back to the country or anything like that, but we did it during the pandemic because it was getting kind of rough in our neighborhood. And so we said, let's get the kids out. And once I did that and I was in tune with when the sun comes up and when it goes down, I see it coming up in the morning. I always take a moment to look at the sunset, see what it's doing. Oh, look at that one. Oh, man, that's amazing. And then go see where the moon's at, see what phase of stars is coming up. I finally started getting tapped back into, because that was my job as a child, was to kind of do farm work, be in the garden all day, working with my grandfather, mowing the lawn. I had animal chores, cows, all kinds of things. And it's kind of, even though I'm not on a big farm like that anymore, just a little bit of connection to the nature and New Mexican nature, because you have that, you go out of town or something, or maybe you camp over the weekend, but you go back by getting rid of the power lines and the lights and the pink lights that you kind of hide the stars at night. By being able to see everything, it squashed the ego, lit up new areas of the brain, lit up new avenues for creativity, and I don't see it ending. There's no little light at the end of the tunnel. It's very bright.
And you don't have to mow the lawn.
No, I don't. Not in my. Well, I do have a lawnmower, but not as much.
Yeah.
So,
You might have to whack some weeds.
Yeah.
If we don't mow every month, we have these giant tumbleweeds that are really amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they hurt.
They hurt, yeah.
So I'm still very new to living in the area that we are by the Rio Grande, and realizing how old and how historical this area has always been. If you had a time machine and you went back 2,000 years, there'd still be activity there. You start hearing stories like, oh, my grandfather had his cows right over there, and that's where the abductions happened, or, you know, and you'd be like, what? And so you hear all these really neat New Mexican stories, and for me, that's like, whoa. And so there's more inspiration, and the locals have really taken me in, and that gives a good sense of happiness. Whereas, like in town, you can have one really gripey neighbor and one really gripey landlord, and it can ruin your whole living experience. Here, you know, we don't have that. I have some. It's after working so hard and always kind of being in flight mode, being an artist, trying to pay your expenses here in Santa Fe, which can be pretty pricey, especially if you're up and coming and working hard. And sometimes you have a whole group of artists in one house, and that chaos is all gone. That early hungry chaos, and we're focusing our cares on other things. It's not singular. It's not self-centered. It's our slogan or motto at the house is "We, not me," and that's been the big change. And somehow that's in the art now. I don't know how that got in there, but I think about that too, and I think about, you know, one of these days my kids are going to say, "Hey, I remember when Dad was doing that one. That's cool. You got that, you know, or that's cool to see that." Or I know that it used to be like, "Oh, I'm doing this to leave my imprint." Now that's not so much I know it's going to outlive me. It's maybe see what happens, see how far it goes. Maybe this will inspire some other artists. Maybe there's somebody I'm copying and I don't know them. Maybe I'm going to meet this. There's all these endless possibilities for me that's opened up. And I never expected that. I always thought it was going to be the same thing all the way, and it's not. It's a unique journey.
Thank God, right?
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we
goodness.
just get to kind of keep reinventing and seeing what happens.
Oh, yeah. So I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah.
I hope that shows in this work too here lately.
It does, yeah. And I think, you know, in thinking about like the we, not me, and just like the relationship that develops, you know, that I've seen develop between you and I and other artists here is, you know, how you keep working it. You know, if you know the work is good, you keep putting it out there. It's like, you know, the timeline is out of our hands, but like sooner or later, something hits. I mean, this show's been open for 2 days and we've sold more than half of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's developed and it takes some time, you know, but it's like when you know the work is good and you keep putting it out there and you keep devoting yourself to it, good things happen with it.
I'm already, and again with a little bit of financial reassurance and a little bit of that acceptance, that makes you go, okay, I've already got 10 more in. I'm already ready to go again.
Yeah.
And so after that exhaustion and being back at work for one day, I'm already ready to start painting all over again, and to free things up and do maybe, because winter's usually, fall time is usually when we take a break. And I think I'm still realizing, and Topaz and I both, my wife and
I don't know if the fly is going to come up on the recording. But get out of here.
That's cool.
Did you get down here?
I know.
I was going to, what if there's fly noises around me all the time? No, anyway,
Pigpen?
Yeah, Pigpen. But so that's, where was I at? I was talking about Topaz.
You're ready to go. You're ready to go, even though it's fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Topaz and I like all of our dances that we come from our backgrounds, school time. There's always been like a time for creation, activity, and then like a time for rest. And usually in the fall time, winter time is a time for rest, storytelling, and maybe comfort. And this time I'm kind of like, well, and I've always followed that same pattern, other than less like in, say, like the days when it was commercial artwork, you painted all year round. I felt like I was just so much better of a painter then, or just least had the energy, the right energy. This is different. I feel like I'm ready to go back and work all fall up until springtime. It's kind of um, instead of the last couple of years, I think we've produced maybe 30 pieces a year. Now I feel like I'm like ready to knock out a good run. So hopefully that will happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully no curveballs or nothing.
I mean, that makes me think of what you said, Frank, how when the foundation is set, all of that energy that was getting funneled into worry and anxiety, is now liberated, and it can go into continuing making work.
And each venue or each opportunity has its own set of worry. I always used to say, I think it's Diego Romero that said, a man's best friend is a deadline. And I always used to think, oh yeah, that's right. But now I just know that it's coming, and I'm to be proactive instead of procrastination is motivation. And that's kind of where I used to be, and now I'm kind of want to meet it head on. I want to get these ideas out before they fade or get put too far on the back burner that they're not as taken as serious. So that's kind of where I'm at now, and that's that foundation, that's that huddle that we have. So yeah, it's taken 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
but that's it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
worth it, and we didn't overexhaust ourselves trying to come up with a plan. It just we kind of let it naturally form, and so it seems very organic, the process. And so that's what I mean about the landscapes. Even though I don't take them and hold on to them as serious as, like, say, the native or political or the pop subject matter, or even my personal narrative. These are different. You let go. You're not as you don't want to smother them or hold on to them, because I would get so attached to pieces that I didn't want to sell them, and it kind of gave this weird, and Topaz would be, I get rid of these, get them out there. And so I got over those hang-ups, and it was kind of like, this is for somebody special. This is for somebody special out there, and it's different. And I don't fully. It's not a fully formed idea, or methodology behind it yet. But I'm just like how it's forming organic.
Yeah.
And I just, with New Mexico, the landscapes are endless. So you can drive around the state and go camping and find them by accident.
The light changes like by whatever, and it's a completely new landscape out there, different palette of color.
I was coming back from Denver, and they had road work on something. I took this wrong road and went through Angel Fire and all this stuff, and in the car, and I'm really night blind, and I don't like driving at night, especially through the mountains, and then came out through Taos around this back way. But it took me forever to get back home because I was stopping and taking photos. Whoa, what's that? And I about cause a wreck. Who's this weirdo looking at us? There's people over by it. What is this place? And I'd go talk about it and jump in the car and drive back off. So it's there's a lot of spontaneity, things that you never thought you would find. There it is. Is it Eagle's Nest? Is that what they call it up there?
Right. I mean,
go check that place out. It's really, I had no idea. And so if that's just accidental, we need to start getting out and branching out more.
Getting lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of areas in Arizona I'd love to paint that I haven't done yet. The color's different out there, but the vibe is similar. But I do eventually want to take these landscapes where there's more realism, not where it's predictable, just where however it forms, and I'd like to have more green foliage be involved. I tried to, when I had a residency out at the Columbus Museum in Georgia, I tried to show them all the desert stuff. They weren't interested at all.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted opaques, green, almost Easter egg colors, and I just thought, how could you make a land? But now I get it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more than one way to do this, and it's enough, I think, to supplement me for the remainder of my life working, and it's just endless inspiration.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get burned out on it. I hope I can turn it into, you know, a little bit cartoony, a little bit more realism, and it's just a gauge, you know, and then eventually there's a full spectrum of what's been done.
Yeah.
Even in the stuff like George Morrison. Are either of you familiar with his work?
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's Ojibwe. I could be wrong about his tribal affiliation, but he would do wood block assemblages and kind of sand these pieces down, and they're amazing and just very groundbreaking, and even, you know, there's just long as you're trying to replicate nature, that's I mean, that goes back to cave drawings.
Mm-hmm.
Replicate what the eyes are seeing, and I don't know what sparks that. What for me, you know, when I was a kid, it was before VCRs. You'd see a commercial once, and you'd like obsess over a toy. So I'd draw it over and over and over until it, like, maybe Grandma got it for me on a town trip, and it was kind of a way to do that. Maybe it was connected with consumerism, maybe a movie that you're imagining. I used to, like, my mom would, our dinners were really rough when we'd have lean years. But I remember I would draw spaghetti and meatballs and, like, look, here's dinner. And she'd be like, we're not having that, you know. And so I used it as a way to turn into food or turn into nourishment. It was really weird how art played into my communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it could say things that I couldn't say with my own mouth.
Right.
And I maybe didn't realize that. Because those days, that's when my communication was developing.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that played a part into it, unknowingly. Something to realize is that what I couldn't talk about verbally, because I was very shy. Now I don't shut up, but you know, that's, instead of, like, I could see that, you know, not having the nerve to ask my mother, hey, can we not have SOS gravy tonight and like poke salad? Can we have spaghetti and meatballs, or just like my Aunt Joyce had last night, or, you know? And so I would maybe be too scared to ask her because my eyebrows would be blown off. And so maybe I would draw a picture about it, and I'd cut a circle and put it in like a butter dish lid and walk out.
That's adorable.
It's almost like you're offering a gift. You're like,
offering
here's the gift.
Please
Give me a gift back, please.
Well, I think you said, you know, why do we do that? I think it's reverence, you know, like, I think that when we see, you know, a landscape that moves us, it's like, it's impossible to put into words. Like, there's so many variables, so many millions of years, so many different pieces of weather and rain and wind and snow. I mean, you can't encompass it, you know, by talking about it. And it's like, well, there's this image in front of you. I'll do my best.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think also it's something around becoming absorbed in the act of creation. It's like we are witnessing creation, and it is so profound that the response is, I must create too. I I want to give back as well. Like, here's a gift. Well, you know, can we continue this?
My brother Devin and my father, Dan, were really into films, and they would go overboard, and that's a form of communicating as well. Like, my brother Devin would see a movie, and then he became that for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I know people that are like that now, that they have performance pieces, and that ties into their strength and powers as in the theater and acting, etc. I always thought like my brother and dad should have had a shot at, maybe the movies and maybe, but that's their form, and there's several different forms of it. My grandmother was excellent seamstress. She'd see something and go like, well, I'm going to go make that dress, and there's different ways of it. And, that I find that fascinating. Yeah, Dad I remember we watched Rocky on TV one night, and that was kind of a big deal for a movie to be on CBS or something. Dad got so into it, he was doing push-ups during the movie, and trying to put me on like a regimen and a workout. And I was like in second grade. I'm like, no, I love eating, like. So I see it's all in the family,
Mm-hmm.
and I see my kids do it. So it's just acting out to whoever would listen. I've got this thing in me. It's got to be released.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're not hurting people, you're inviting folks in. It becomes something more loving, more caring.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
I do like dark art. I do like things that really, cause a lot of provoking of deep thought, and but for me at the moment, that's kind of not there. Maybe using some dark colors to express nightfall, like the piece up front in the window of the river. That's about as dark as I want to get right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of light to share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Do you want to get into some of the our quickies?
Oh, yeah,
Here,
yeah.
I'll pull it up.
Okay, great.
We've got a list of
Okay.
our little lightning round.
Lightning round?
Yeah.
Is this kind of like, do we have a buzzer?
Yeah.
We have peanut butter
Oh, okay.
chocolate cups.
Whoa.
Okay, let's see. What do we got here? Okay, well, this one's, yeah. What are you reading or listening to right now that you can't get enough of?
Okay. For this little section, I have one record that I always go back to, and it taps into innocence. And it's a album my Aunt Joyce gave me in 1988, but it's Pink Floyd Animals. And it wasn't there are no hits on it. It's, I think, based on George Orwell's Animal Farm. That will be the first one that starts. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, is always in there. I like Mose Allison a lot. Let's see. That's the start, those three.
Mm-hmm.
But usually this was a lot of jazz. And then there's a psychedelic band called Hawkwind. They have really bright colors and really long, hardly any lyrics. So we're doing a lot of that. And then I play my own stuff. Usually when I get stumped on something, put the brushes down, wash my hands, and then I go play music to it. But yeah, I can't tell you all the records. There's a huge stack, and all my record collection is very disheveled, and CDs and tapes and all that. They're everywhere. So, but the music has to be kind of not a lot of Syd Barrett, a lot of David Bowie. My daughter listens to Morrissey now.
Wow.
All the stuff I really didn't care for when I was younger, like The Cure, and we were listening to that all the time now.
Wow.
And so I'm realizing how much I like that music, as oppressed as I in my punk rock, old heavy music kind of way. I'm realizing how much I love that stuff. So yeah, I got Iggy Pop, But I wish I was listening to more new music. My kids do turn me on to some stuff, but I forget the titles and all that. But yeah, Miles Davis, Hawkwind, and Pink Floyd.
Are there any visual artists that you've gotten turned on to lately
Oh,
that are inspiring?
Oh boy. For these pieces, I like to look at old, like Harrison Begay. He's a kind of a Dorothy Dunn era flat style painter. Really just the finest line work. AC Blue Eagle, who's Creek and Potawatomi as well. He's from back, and then Jerome Tiger. And Joan Hill. Joan Hill is like the never-ending fountain of youth for me. I think she's just probably the most amazing female native painter that has come that there ever was or will be. You're not going to change my mind on that. And so I go back for certain pieces when I want like a sense of authenticity, or I want to go back to like core innocence, or just like the beginning, like the things that really light you up. And I reserve that energy for these shows here.
Nice.
Now for say something more experimental, say like if it was a weird museum show and they want something really wacky and out there, I would go specifically and watch bizarre movies, or just, the weirdest jazz record that sounds like cabinets being pushed down the steps or something.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. You have that one?
I think Herbie Hancock did a couple of those.
Cabinets.
Yeah.
Oh, Herbie Hancock! Don't get me started on him. That Headhunters record. That's another one that's always there. But I love 70s funk jazz. There's something really special about it. I think maybe I listened to a lot of it growing up. Something about those, I don't know, whatever it is. It seems very otherworldly. P-Funk, they kind of get me there too.
Sun Ra.
Yeah, Sun Ra, yes. I've got Sun Ra records lined up. And then there's also an Australian band called King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard.
Wizard.
Me and my Noel and myself, my oldest son, we really enjoy that.
Yeah. There's a do you know Kamasi Washington? He's a saxophone player, full band. He is drawing on all that stuff. Kamasi Washington, give him a listen.
All right,
I think you'd love it. Yeah.
And then there's the Golden Dawn
Orchestra.
Okay.
Yeah. They've played at Meow Wolf a few times.
I've heard of
like
them
a 20
before.
plus band. They have a wizard. They have a guy that's just a wizard.
Some friends played that band for me at site.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Working at the Biennial that just went on, we had a whole new crew. They were all people from the movie sets, and so they brought in a new pile of music, and I just listened to all this great stuff. I didn't know what it was, and so those ideas kind of stick to you. And I try not to like chase it down instantly on the internet. I try like to still gravitate towards the record that needs to find you. If you notice, I bought some records right before I came here. So I haven't been able to go to the record store in a few months. So I prefer to let it, because it feeds into you. And that's what I'm talking about, where it's all one thing. Communication, putting on clothes and pretending you're something, or an actor, or acting. It's all one thing after a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I answer the question right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing how, the new bandwidth from finding a floor and then all the different influences going into the melting pot, and where that leads us in the next 5 years.
And it's also being comfortable with the personalities.
Yeah.
And also, having, just being comfortable knowing that there's not going to be, this isn't going to be thrown on the street, or something, and you enjoy the team you're working with, and I do so very much so. So thank you both for just being a great support, having the faith to get this off the ground. It's not an easy task.
Yeah.
And so hopefully I've been able to fulfill the expectations. Frank.
100%. 100%.
Awesome. So
yeah.
the feeling's mutual.
Yeah.
And because for years you'd be like, either you got doors shut in your face or you got ripped off after the show was over. It was always something. And to have a good, strong partnership, which if you ask me to do something, I'll do my best to be on it and make that deadline, and vice versa.
You say you want to do a pickle show, we'll make it
Okay.
happen.
Bread and butter. That's the name of it.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
both. Thank you, Kara. This has been a wonderful experience. Let's not wait 5-6 years though.
I know,
No.
right?
Wow, I can't believe it's that long.